5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you set 1 of Hwaseung Oz versus CJ Entus in the Pro League played on the 4th of June. Today we have Alone as the purple Zerg at the 1 o'clock position playing for Hwaseung Oz, and we have Hydra, this is Hydra here, as the red Zerg at the 7 o'clock position playing for CJ Entus. CJ Entus in the first set bringing out its big gun. Hydra, arguably its best player, former MSL champion, made it to the semifinals of this MSL. And he was, well, unfortunately defeated rather unceremoniously by Flash. It was fairly one-sided. But nevertheless, Hydra's still an excellent player. On the other hand, Alone, not a very good player at all. He's got a 30% win rate against Zerg, a 35% win rate overall. This guy is no Jaedong. Hopefully he's at least, picked up some tips from the great Jaedong. He's on the same team. So, he's not just going to roll over it and die, which would be unfortunate. Here's hoping a good match of StarCraft and a great Pro League series. Hydra, I have to say, Reach is by far the manliest pro gamer. There's no question about that. Anyone who says otherwise is clearly delusional or a Bisu fanboy. Or rather, I should say, has an infatuation with Bisu. But the point is that if I had to pick a pro gamer who is the second manliest, it would probably be Hydra. He looks pretty badass most of the time. He looks fairly angry sometimes. He's an interesting person to look at, is what I have to say. And it looks like we have Hydra going for a 9-pool. Very interesting. It might be an overpool. I think that's an Overlord more thing. So that's probably an overpool, actually. Whereas we have a 12-hatch going here for Alone. Ooh, I'm not sure about this. So in theory, Crazy Hydra, not Crazy Hydra. Crazy Hydra, not a very good player. Compared to Hydra. Hydra, excellent player. Hydra has a build order advantage in this game. This map, by the way, looks like it's called New Bloody Ridge, I believe. I'm fairly sure that's the name of this map. Anyway, actually, it looks like Hydra electing to get his hatchery after a 9-pool and not going to press any sort of actually he's mining gas, so it looks like this is a 9-pool with speed build. Hopefully he'll be able to put some good pressure here on Alone. What I'm saying is that he is not electing to go sort of a brute force ling break in the front. This is more of a safer build. Overpool is not quite the same as 9-pool. Get your ling slightly slower, but your economy is better. Looks like both players see exactly what the other player does. I'm fairly sure the Hydra will go for speed. Well, we'll see soon whether he morphs layer or gets speed. If he morphs layer, then because you have the choice of either morphing a layer or getting speed for your first 100 gas. Looks like here Hydra is moving his lings out, whereas Alone should have forces in position to defend his natural very soon. He may have to put down a Sunken. If he's not careful with his micro, he could be in bad shape. Here we have Hydra picking away at one of these eggs of Alone. I'm not sure whether that's the best bet. He wants to obviously glitch out the egg. If you do enough damage, sometimes units don't morph out correctly, but I think he's better off picking at the hatchery. It's always nice to pick a bit at hatchery. Sometimes you see the player do not react very well to their hatchery getting attacked and don't really pay enough attention to it, as you saw in Jaedong versus Zero, I think, was a great example. Jaedong being too greedy there. Whereas Hydra's attack so far has been more of an irritation. His speed has kicked in, so he has an advantage, but he's only made 6 lings, whereas Alone has massed up quite a nice little army of lings there. However, I don't think Alone will be able to do much. This map has lots of choke points. Ooh, it looks like Alone managed to separate some of Hydra's lings. He only picks off 1. Nevertheless, he got speed upgrade, and he's barreling down on Hydra's natural expansion. Oh, this is looking bad for Hydra here. Hydra fortunately has his Sunken up. He should be able to defend. Alone might go for some sort of run-by, though. If he goes for a run-by, I don't see how Hydra can stop it, but Alone is electing not to go for a run-by. If he delays much longer, he's not going to be able to do it. Hydra's going to be able to put his Zerglings at the choke point. Looks like Alone might be going in, but he backs out. Alone not being very decisive at all. Now he's going in and backing out again. Not quite sure what he wants to do. And, I'm not sure that's a good thing. I think it's important for a player to be decisive in this case. If he went for a run by, I think he would have been fine. He could at least cause some serious economic damage if he microed his lings fairly well. But as it stands, he's really accomplished very little here, and I felt he had an opportunity there that he did not take. However, this game is mostly even up now. I would argue that both players' economies are fairly similar. It might just be me, but Hydra seems to have a few more drones mining at his main. I could be very wrong about that. Looks like Alone just putting his Zerglings in a nice little arc, nice blockade there to prevent any sort of Zergling run-by coming here from Hydra, and set himself up in a nice defensive posture. Always impressive to see pro gamers do that. It's really only done like this in ZVZ, of course, because there's not too much else for the players to do in ZVZs at this point. Once Mulus comes out, of course, pro gamers usually don't bother doing anything this pretty. Looks like Mulus are starting to morph for Alone. Hydra testing the perimeter here. He's not going to be able to break through. Nevertheless, he just wants to probe the perimeter a bit with his links. He's falling back now. Alone's going to be able to pick off one of Hydra's overlords, but Hydra should be able to retaliate and pick off one of Alone's overlords. It doesn't seem like Hydra's, his Mulus are slower. Ooh! Alone, cleverly with a pair of Scourge, managed to pick off one of Hydra's Mulus. Nice little hit there from Alone. He's taken he's been economically ahead this game, and he's taken a bit of a military advantage. Of course, one Mulus is a lot when you have like 6 or 7, but once it gets up, if both sides elect not to attack, and you get up to a dozen Mulus, the one is not going to matter nearly as much as good Mulus control or good Scourge micro. It seems like Hydra has not actually managed to retaliate and catch one of Alone's overlords, so Alone managed to accrue several little early advantages. Let us see whether he can actually turn this into a victory. Because the skill level between the two players is so high, I am not convinced that this is quite enough for Alone to take the game. If this were a contest between two more evenly matched players playing at high caliber, those advantages that Alone had amassed would be fairly significant by this point. However, Hydra looks like he's got quite a few Scourge now with his Mulus. So his Air Force is looking impressive. Alone surely has managed to mass a few Scourge too. He's gone more Mulus heavy and more Scourge light, if you would. He's picking off his own Zerglings to free up some Psi there to morph additional air units. I actually think getting a few more Scourge is generally a good idea. With how good pro gamers are at cloning units, it's almost inevitable that some Scourge do land. And pretty much nobody, not even Jadong, can pick off all the Scourge. Like, if a pro gamer, if all they had to do was pick off Scourge and they didn't have to worry about opposing Mulus or something, especially don't have to worry about the opposing player being, very careful with his Scourge micro, then yeah, you can micro Mulus and infinitely pick off Scourge. But the reality is such that that is pretty much impossible to do. In fact, I've never really seen it done. However, a good pro gamer with good Mulus control can pick off a lot of Scourge and minimize the damage he takes to his own Mulus. And now it looks like Hydra's going on the offensive, picking off one Overlord, not getting a second one. He might decide to go backing and finish it. Hydra being aggressive there, going backing and finishing it. Ooh, he almost picks off a third Overlord. Looks like there might be an air engagement. No, both sides back off. Maybe Hydra is going to dart in there and pick off that other Overlord. No, he's just going to back off. So Hydra evening things up a little bit. Excellent play by Hydra there. He's managed to amass quite an impressive air force here. I think this is going to come down to a intense meal-on-meal battle there. That Korean trying to hide his face a bit late. Well, actually, they barely showed him, so he didn't really have to hide his face anyway. Looks like there are a lot of Scourge, over a dozen here for Hydra. I wonder whether either player will upgrade Carapace 1 when so many air units are amassed. Getting Carapace 1 or Attack 1, I believe Carapace 1 is more valuable. Although I could be wrong about that. I think that's true though. And looks like Hydra picking off 2 more Overlords. Excellent sniping attacks by Hydra, and careless play really by Alone. At this point he should have retreated all his Overlords back into a safe position covered by his mealless, but he's already lost 4 Overlords this game, and I would argue at this point the game has more or less evened up. 4 Overlords is quite a few. I mean, that is at least, that's like 16 Lings worth of units there. Quite a few. Looks like Hydra scouting a bit with that Zergling. Both sides continuing to mass up forces. Perhaps they're waiting on upgrades? I'm not really sure why neither side is really committing to any sort of attack. Here we have Alone especially. Wow, I understand why Alone. And Hydra coming in with Milas, picking off quite a few Lings. In fact, he could go in and pick off some more if he wants. Now Hydra's massing up his Lings, massing up his Air Force. He's gonna go for a frontal assault, using his Milas very cleverly to kill a lot of Lings. And Alone, I have no idea what he was doing during all this time. Massive Scourge hits on everything. It's hard to tell what exactly is going on in the air, but it looks like Hydra is taking a decisive area advantage, and his Lings are overrun Alone's base, and Alone just completely not up to test. Excellent play by Hydra there. Excellent play. In the chaos, it was hard to tell what exactly went on, but I'm pretty sure Hydra had superior cloning of his Scourge there. And Alone was caught off guard. He lost so many Lings and Muleless, rather foolishly considering there was nothing else for him to do. Anyway, Hydra taking an easy victory over this poor sap Alone here, who really stood little chance going on to set 2.
예, 신동원 선수는 그리고 엄청난 자신감이 있네요.
예, 그렇죠. 이 신동원 선수의 자신감이 오늘 경기에서 묻어났는데 초반에 데미지 받고 시작을 했는데 불구하고 또 본진 쪽에 있는 곳에 나와서 이 방태 선수 계속 압박했어요.
초반에 적극적인 빌드를 사용할 방태 선수였고, 그리고 사용을 했으면은 후반 들어서 중후반 들어서 적극적인 공격과 컨트롤 좀 했었어야 되는데 시간을 줬습니다. 상대는 신동원 선수예요. 그날 정구전에서 모든 적을 다 꺾고 우승을 했던
그렇죠.
신동원
이재동까지 잡아냈어요.
시간을 주게 되면 신동원 선수 제 페이스를 찾는 선수이기 때문에 그 전에 적극적인 공격을 좀 했었어야 되는데 방태 선수가 좀 아쉬운 경기를 보여줬고, 신동원 선수는 진짜 그야말로 어떤 그 약점이 있다고 하더라도 시간이 지나면 그 모든 페이스를 다 돌릴 수 있는 실력을 갖춘 선수네요.
그렇죠. 이 신동원 선수에게 이 시간을 주면은 그 이후에 이 재앙이 닥친다는 걸 오늘 경기에서 지금 확인할 수가 있었고요. 자, 1사 경기 CJ 엔투스 이 신동원 선수가 확실하게 승리를 해주면서 팀에게도 1승을 안겨줬습니다. MS 탭의 이후에 이 페이스가 좀 떨어지지 않을까라는 생각을 여러분께서는 하셨겠지만 전혀 그렇지 않아요.
그렇습니다.
이제는 프로리그에 전념하고 있습니다.
네.
집중하고 있어요.
팀을 살릴 수 있는 그런 신동원 선수가 될 수가 있는 거죠. 지금 아주 멋진 경기를 펼쳤고 상황이 약간 좋지 않았던 이런 초반 상황까지 잘 신동원 선수가 대처 있는 플레이로도 자신만의 실력으로서 상대방을 찍어 눌렀기 때문에 아마 신동원 선수의 자신감은, 그리고 신동원 선수 지켜보고 있는 CJ 엔투스 선수들의 자신감은 아마 하늘을 치솟을 것 같습니다.
그렇죠. 이 확실하게 더욱더 정신분양이 된 이 신동원 선수가 오늘 1세트 경기 3번으로 출격해서 이 방태 선수를 깔끔하게 잡아내고 팀에게도 1승을 안겨줬습니다. 시작이 좀 CJ 엔투스입니다. 이번 6라운드